Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, on this Halloween, be fearful of Fed Chair Powell because he may wreck things more than any other character we have ever seen in any movie. So, let's talk about what is happening this week. And that's it. Let's do this. So, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. I haven't said that in a while, but let's jump right in. All right, so today we're looking at the U.S. markets opening up possibly in red. How fitting of Halloween. So, of course, I've been talking about how we have this big FOMC meeting that's coming up. It starts tomorrow. Luckily, it doesn't start today. It starts tomorrow, and then we will get that dreaded press conference where Powell announces what he's going to do. Okay, so that's coming up Wednesday. And I've already speculated some of the possibilities, but BlackRock itself is telling, at least their economists are telling people that they believe a Fed pivot may be coming, that Powell will sneak in some language that indicates that a pivot may be coming. So that overall can be absolutely huge for this week. Absolutely huge. But in the meantime, we have to wait. There's a few things coming up. For example, tomorrow, MicroStrategy. For those of you guys that happen to know Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy will be reporting earnings tomorrow. Celsius also, there's a final bid. I wonder who's going to be bidding. Probably none other than SBF. Like, who else is going to be bidding? I don't know. SBF seems to be bidding and buying everything. Then we have Robinhood earnings, who happens to be owned by FTX as well now. Not completely, but a minority stake. And then we got some other earnings like Block, PayPal, and Coinbase, right? Those will be huge. But I've been telling you guys, stay away from PayPal. I have not heard anything else. It works today. The best bell in the industry. I have not heard anything else about that $2,500 fee or fine, I should say, that they implemented recently. I made a big deal about it. I am not a fan at all. I don't think anyone's a fan of a company that can self-impose a $2,500 fee based on what they deem as misinformation or basically what they don't like. I don't know the legalities of it, honestly, and how they could get away with it, but it's better to just not risk it. Just don't use it. But anyways, hopefully they get a horrible earnings coming up. But this is a good summary of what's coming this week. But the biggest thing has to be on Wednesday. And what is Powell going to do? And we go get that pivot language that we're waiting for. Now, something else that relates to inflation. We know inflation in the U.S. is bad, but I just saw this. The Eurozone just hit 10.7%, and it grows sharply. It was just at 10.1% not too long ago, so now it went up by another 0.6% in one single month. So we're nearing 11%. It's been predicted that this could go as high as 13, 15%. So obviously inflation is rampant everywhere. This is the ECB recently just raised their rates too, but it's not close to what the U.S. has done, right? But Eurozone, I mean, some of these countries listed in here, like Italy, is already at like 12.8%. Italy is at 12.8%. Germany's already at 11.6%. Some of these countries that are really, really, really dependent on Russian gas, natural gas, and oil, they're struggling right now hard. Okay? So inflation is around the world, but it's not just due to the war. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest misdirection right now, that the war has caused all this inflation. No, it's just a tiny part of that. What caused the majority of the inflation out there is the trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions that were printed over the last 2 years. Okay, that is the primary driver of inflation. All that money coming out, people spent it, bought things, and continue to buy things. That's what drove things upwards in a major way, right? But in the meantime, the war does have an effect. There's no doubt about it. It's having an effect, especially in Europe. And I saw this. Wheat prices jump by nearly 6% after Russia withdraws from a vital Ukrainian export deal. So obviously, Ukraine is like the 6th or 7th, is top 10 of wheat exporter. So obviously anything that involves wheat, beer, bread, whatever else is going to start going up too. So it does have an effect. So this all ties into what the banks, specifically what Chair Powell's going to do this week, right? What is he going to do? Is he going to slow things down? Is he going to continue to be aggressive? That's why everyone is fearful of him. You see it in the comments, and everyone is like, hey, the market will rally or dump depending on Powell. He has that much control. Yeah. What else is going on today? I did see this. Presidential advisor says oil is all that Putin has left. Basically, they don't make money from anything anymore other than oil. And of course, we have a lot of countries that's still buying oil from Russia. But here's the thing. They also do have nukes left. So let's put that on the table. So let's not forget that. And no one wants World War III or any kind of nuclear bombing. But they do have that besides oil. So let's not downplay them too much. But outside of this, what else is going on? DXY is hovering around 111. So that's pretty good. Has not crept up back to the 113, 114, although we were below 110 not too long ago. We want to see the DXY come down. Some Elon stuff. Elon's been tweeting left and right now that it's his own company. He can tweet whatever he wants with no fear at this point. But he found this leaked conversation from the previous CFO. Basically saying that, they published fraudulent metrics, and he was thinking about whistleblowing, and then and he says this is literally what Elon is accusing of his doing, and Elon may take some action on this. Basically, all these guys that left Twitter, the CEO, CFO, top guys that left, they all have this golden parachute clause, so they're all set to make anywhere from $20 to $40 million, okay? So all of them stands to make enormous amount. But Elon, what he's trying to do is fire them due to cause, meaning that they did something wrong. So if that's the case, then they don't get that golden parachute. I think that's what all this is about. He's going to try to prove to the courts or to the world that they were doing some stuff that they should not be doing. So that way, he does not have to pay the hundreds of millions that's owed to these guys, which really, you think about it, there's nothing owed to these guys. So that's what's going on. And also, this is kind of funny. New York Times claims Elon Musk shares a link to a site that publishes false news. And look at what Elon's response is. This is false. I did not tweet out a link to New York Times. That's top right hand corner. That's pretty funny. Just some Elon and Twitter updates. But going back to Bitcoin, well, today's the 14th anniversary of Bitcoin's white paper. Wow. 14th anniversary. Think about that. October 31st, 2008. That's when Satoshi released this Bitcoin P2P eCash paper. And it wasn't Craig Wright, in case you're wondering. No, it's not him. But whoever Satoshi is announced this new type of electronic cash, this decentralized network, this blockchain, and released upon the world. And since then, look at how things have changed. We went from basically a pet project to something that's laughed at, to something that's a Ponzi scheme, to now something that everyone in the world is thinking about embracing and buying. Okay? How things have evolved so much within just 14 years. We're not talking about 40 years. We're not talking about 400 years. We're talking about only 14 years, less than 2 decades. Something that went from theoretical to now that's something worth over $20,000 each and can one day be worth over $1 million each. It's quite amazing. We never, ever, ever seen anything like this. A digital asset, or you could just argue a digital currency that's not controlled by any country, any person, any entity, any bank out there. Everything else out there is controlled in some form or fashion by an enterprise or a government or a bank, controlled by someone. Bitcoin is the only one that is not. So, very, very, very impressive. Here's another statistic. 9 years since the first Bitcoin ATM. Now they're close to 39,000 globally. Still not enough. We need 390,000 globally. But overall, Bitcoin ATMs is not something that we really need. Everyone that's thinking about buying Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin should not be doing so through an ATM. It's just not smart. The prices are just not advantageous to you for selling or for buying. So it's better to do it on an exchange or a DEX, right? But in a crunch and you're feeling that FOMO and you just have a few $100s and you want to get in, well, then I guess, ATM is not a bad option. But still, point of this is the growth is increasing by leaps and bounds. Here's something that compares what we're seeing right now, a double bottom versus prior 2017 to 2020 when we had that drop. We formed a bottom and then we never looked back and kept going. So, are we in that same situation? Quite possibly. And something else that's very positive is percent of supply last active 1 year ago. It's at an all-time high 1 year ago. And what does this mean? Well, a ton of people that are holding. And when you have this happen, whenever the percent of supply 1 year ago be this high and form a peak, that's when Bitcoin goes up to the moon. So we are seeing one of those times right now as well. Very, very positive. All right, last thing is this. Houbi. I hate this picture, and I don't trust Justin Sun. Houbi stablecoin is collapsing right now. So hopefully none of you guys do have Houbi stablecoin. So Houbi was taken over by some kind of anonymous project that no one knows about. And most people think that Justin Sun owns that project. So basically Justin Sun owns Houbi. So Houbi stablecoin is collapsing, and Justin Sun is saying that he's going to replace it with Tron stablecoin, right? So what made it collapse in the first place, no one knows. So this is very suspicious because before UST collapsed, Justin Sun also said that that's when he came out with the USDD, and he said that, hey, get ready. I have something in store for UST. And then days later, UST collapses. It's always been speculated that Justin Sun had something to do with that UST collapse. And now there's another stablecoin that's collapsing too. So hopefully none of you guys are using or holding on to this Houbi stablecoin, because last time, according to this article, it's down to 28 cents. It's supposed to be pegged to $1. It could be even lower now. Any of these algorithm stablecoins, especially the one on Tron, you need to get out of, because eventually it's going to fail. All right, guys, that is it. Overall, Bitcoin is holding strong at 20,600. The U.S. market opened minus 100. That's pretty pretty close to even. An entire market cap today, we're still holding at 1.03 trillion. That's fantastic. ETH doing okay. Today is a BNB day, up 8%. So BNB may be ready to make a move. BNB has been really stagnant for a long time. Long time. But look at BUSD climbing up the ranks. Only half of USD now. So, I mean USDC. Dogecoin is still hovering. Solana today is doing pretty good. SHIB is doing pretty good. SHIB is trying to catch up to Doge. Avalanche is doing good today. That's also positive. Chainlink having a very good day. That's also very positive. I told you guys the importance of Chainlink. Algorand is doing good today. Chiliz, NFT maker, token maker of sports teams, doing really good, up 15%. Not sure why they are up so much, but good for them. And Trust Token is still doing good. Yeah. Got some good movers today. Good movers. All right. Let's do some Q&A. JD Crypto, what day time is it best to transfer crypto to cold wallet to avoid higher fees? Usually at night in the US. So if you look at like 11, 12, 1 a.m., usually that's when I notice that fees are pretty low. But you just have to check. Just check. You could check the fees with a lot of these sites, and then if it's low, it's it's a good time. All right, let me scroll up and make sure I didn't miss anything. Edgar says he thinks Powell is going to do a 25 basis point hike. I think that's not likely. I think 50 basis points is the best that we can hope for. Even that, very unlikely, off chance. I think the best thing we can hope for is this. He's going to do 75 basis points, but then open it up and say, you know what? We think we have done enough and inflation is slowing down. So going forward, we may start decreasing our rates. We will not follow the same kind of aggressiveness we have been, right? Meaning going back to 50 and possibly 25 in the future. Just language like that would do it. That's what people are waiting for. A pivot, a reversal, an end to the crazy rate hikes. Telengard says I pass out Jello shots for adults. That's good. That's good. Will NFT gaming play and earn games will ever be profitable again? Come on, Jan. Don't ask questions like that. You've been here long enough. When you ask questions like ever again, I can't take that serious because you know the answer to that. I love the fact that Atom is slowly moving upwards. Me too. I like Atom. The Treasury is sucking a money supply with these higher rates. When will banks start raising their interest to keep money in their banks? Up until maybe I don't know. I think they're flush with cash. So up till even mid of 2022, here the banks didn't use anyone's money. I think that's the biggest misconception. And I had this thought too. Hey, banks want you to deposit so they could use your money to loan out, right? But that has not been the case for a while because interest rates have been so low. The prime rate has been so low. So what they've been doing is when you deposit money, they go borrow from the Federal Reserve 10x what you put in. Rather than just loan out yours, They go borrow 10x. So all the money that people have deposited is still sitting there. They haven't used it. So now they're stopping the borrowing from the Fed, and now they can start using the money they have. But, they don't really need any more. They still have a ton. I heard the banks were so flush with cash. That's why the interest rates have been low at the banks, because they don't need to pay out because they already have so much cash. That's why keeping an enormous amount of cash in your savings account, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? You need that cash for a rainy day and, of course, to pay your bills. But from an investment standpoint, what you're doing is transferring that investment power to the banks. And they borrow against it, and they do whatever they want with it. iWarrior, yes. I really wish you change your avatar, your profile picture. You should not be having that up. Oh, I didn't show you guys this. Credit Suisse unveils details on how they plan on raising $4 billion. Okay, second largest bank in Switzerland. A lot of controversy recently about how they're out of money, and I guess those reports are true because they need $4 billion. Hopefully they get it, but it's kind of like Terra at the time. They needed more funds. They tried to get a loan from people. No one wanted to give it to them. That's the thing. Will anyone give Credit Suisse $4 billion knowing that there's still a chance they may go under? Then they can't recoup any of that money. That's the problem. So hopefully they figure out some way to get by, because we don't want to see another bank collapse at this point. Shannon, me, you both. So, Michael, appreciate it. Good morning, Triff. Will the sun ever rise again? See, yes, Phil Gates, you got my point. I went down a rabbit hole this past weekend. Do you think Jack Dorsey is creating something secret like BTC financial apps via BTC wallets? I know he's working on something. I mean, he already stated that they're working on a Bitcoin miner. They're working on some kind of wallet, within Block. I think he's working on a lot of stuff. Right now, Jack Dorsey is really overshadowed by Elon, of course, right? They still appear to be good friends. Hopefully, they can work together and really grow the ecosystem. We've seen a lot of projects, obviously, the altcoins and exchanges make some moves, but we haven't seen any of these dApps become truly used by millions upon millions of people. And these guys could do it. Right, Jack Dorsey had some controversy, obviously, but he's a Bitcoiner at heart. And he basically, first of all, he quit Twitter because he couldn't stand the board. And second of all, he's trying to make Block into like a crypto project, basically. So he could definitely bring a lot of financial tools to the space. And Elon, of course, can too. And if the two combine, and they can do some great things and get millions upon millions of people to use Bitcoin and Bitcoin's network and Lightning Network and possibly even Doge and everything else out there, these are all fantastic things. So I'm looking forward to it. CZ is Elon's best buddy now. Well, CZ only gave $500 million. That's chump change compared to the $44 billion that Elon had to pay. Elon also got Larry Ellison to cough up $1 billion like it's nothing. Larry Ellison is in the top 10 list of world's richest people due to Tesla because of how much Tesla stock he owns. I mean, he owned a ton of Oracle stock, but it was really the Tesla stock that made him so rich. And he's on the board of Tesla too, so they're quite close as well. A lot of people just donate like $1 billion like it's nothing. You know, imagine being able to say, yeah, I'll give you $1 billion. Go ahead and use it and buy Twitter. Imagine when you get to that point in your life. You know, it's like things will probably get very boring. Here's the thing. Everyone wants to become rich, right? But once you get to one of these elite guys, life must be boring because you have already everything, first of all. And you probably traveled the world 1 million times. And you're probably even sick of your private jets because, you know, they still take time to travel. And you have invested in pretty much everything. So, I mean, I could see why these guys keep going and keep leading companies and keep trying to build and stuff, because what else are you going to do? You already done everything and own everything. Nothing excites you anymore, right? So that's the downfall of becoming too successful. And then you could argue that you don't have a good relationship with your kids and stuff like that. And a lot of people regret that once they get older. So there's that too. Can you explain the Halloween effect? I don't know if there's a Halloween effect. And as for me dressing up, I don't know. I'm just dressing up as George. Powerball's 1 billion. You know, recently, I don't know if it's just so many people playing the lottery, but isn't it curious that all these lotteries are like 1 billion, you know, so fast now? Just like a few months ago, there was like 1 billion, right? And now there's another billion. And then last year there was 1 billion. I mean, all these billion lotteries. You realize the lottery commission keeps half already. So whatever they're giving out, they already collected double. So if Powerball's at 1 billion, they collected 2 billion already. And here's the scam of it. Because once you collect that 1 billion, let's say you win, you have to pay, first of all, if you want a lump sum, you got to pay like 30%. Okay? So that means you're only getting 70%. So the 30% again goes to the government. And then out of the 70%, you have to pay 40% of taxes. So that's gone too. So what you end up with is, I mean, like, what, 300 million, 200 million out of that billion? It's still a lot, but first of all, the government already collected double, and then everything that you're giving back in taxes and lump sum, you're giving back, so you're not really getting much of the overall pie, right? So if you think about a lottery system, it's actually a real scam. You're really collecting like 25% of the winnings. But 25% of 1 billion is still a lot. So just think about it that way. Alex, you don't even know what FUD means. FUD does not mean false, my man. FUD means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Too many people throw around the word FUD as if it's fake or false. That's not what FUD means. Okay? So, Alex, before you start throwing shade at other people, realize the stupidity of your own comments. I'm sure pivot won't happen. We'll hit new lows. You think anyone? Well, if BlackRock thinks there could be a pivot, I'm going to say there's a pretty good chance. BlackRock has a lot of sway, a lot of power. Yeah. What's up with Quant? I've been waiting for someone to ask me about Quant, and I've always said this. I'm not saying Quant is a bad project, but when Quant is doing good, you have 1 million people come in and say, what do you think about Quant? What do you think about Quant? What do you think about Quant? They only ask you about Quant when it's going up. Now, since then, and I've warned people at that moment, because everyone's asking about Quant, it hit like 220 or 210. And I'm like, when everyone asks about quant, that's usually a top signal. And since then, it's been going down, and now it's at 165. It's down like 30% from that moment, right? Again, this is nothing to do with quant. Quant is a good project, I do believe. It's a B2B project that helps them get involved with blockchain, get involved with tokenization, and they're all about interoperability, allowing them to create dApps that can talk to different kind of blockchains. So they're a good project, but I'm not interested because they're more B2B stuff. But like now you don't see any of those people ask about quant. What happened to all the people that are asking about quant before? Not one is asking about it. So this is the problem. Too many people ask about a project when it pumps, and then, you know, it's only because they want to FOMO in. It's not like they really care about the project. That's the problem. And a lot of times that's when you get wrecked, because you get in right at top when you FOMO in and it comes down. I get it. I FOMO'd in many times. It's not like I'm oblivious to it. When I think a project's doing good and it's pumping, it makes me want to FOMO in because I believe in a project already. I get it, but that's why I try to tell you guys, you know, whenever something goes up too fast, it's a red flag. It's time to like pull yourself back a little bit. But it's also a good idea to be taking profit, short-term profit, if you don't have cash on the side. It's important to keep that 20, 25, 30% cash. And if you can't get it, you can't supplement it in some other way, then you take profits when things are going up. Am I still bullish on Cadena? Yes. Have I looked in Flux? Yes. Flux is very tied with Cadena, so I'm familiar with them. They're a decentralized computing network and storage network, and I think they have potential. They both happen to be at proof of work still. Aaron, dude, I just did a whole thing about Doge just a day ago. So before you say I don't support Doge, listen to that stream. You should check out Ben Simmons' dance. Maybe later. Ben Simmons update. What is the market doing right now? Ooh, unfortunately, market went down a little bit. So, like I said, be fearful of Powell. Everyone is. We still got a couple of days. You know, I don't think he's going to pivot this round. I think it's still going to be 75 basis points, but I think he may slide in some of that language. Like future rate hikes could be decreased. I mean, we just had the PCE number come out last week, right? And that showed that inflation didn't start tapering out. It's not still like rising like crazy like what's happening in Europe. Europe just grew another 0.6%. So in the U.S., we're not seeing these crazy 0.6% growths. We're starting to see it slow down. So that pivot language may come out. I'm pissed that some projects are pumping because I want to buy more at cheap. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? But you had so much opportunities. It's been so long. We've been hovering down here since November 2021. It's been a year, my man. Plenty of time to be DCAing. Sentinel Squadron NFTs. I like the name. The name sounds cool, but not really interested in NFTs right now. 50 basis point rate hike, not likely 20%. Yeah, I think it's not. I don't think we're going to see it's 50. Yeah, now keep in mind, we're going to have another one in December. That one may be 50, right? Do you think Republicans will get a supermajority in the Senate and the House? I don't know. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of these debates. You know, the debates on getting snippets of it on TikTok. And it's quite funny. Some of these guys just like are clueless, and I have no idea why they're running. And some of these guys are very, very, very eloquent, although I don't know if they're really going to do what they say. You know, it's like with politicians. You just don't know. Everyone's saying all the right things to get into office, and then nothing gets done. Usually it seems like that's how it works. So, yeah. I will vote for anyone rather to tackle the tax issues and get rid of most of them. Shannon, look at what happened in the UK. Look at what happened when the new prime minister or the new ex-prime minister tried to get rid of taxes, and look at how the people reacted to it. So what do you think about the white paper? Still relevant? No. No, it's not really relevant anymore. I mean, it is and it isn't, okay? It doesn't, why it's not relevant is this. Even if, let's say, we could prove without a shadow of a doubt that Craig Wright wrote it, it's irrelevant. Bitcoin's network is way beyond the white paper now, and it has been upgraded. The white paper is what set it off, but things change, especially with technology. The concept, ideology doesn't have to change, but technology changes. So it's great, but I don't think we have to follow it word for word. Like this is what Roger Ver tried to do. He created Bitcoin Cash. He caused a contentious fork of Bitcoin Cash. And then he's like, oh, Bitcoin Cash follows the white paper more. Using that as an argument. And guess what? That got turned on him because Craig Wright then spun off Bitcoin SV and said, no, I'm Satoshi, and I say Bitcoin SV follows the white paper more. And then Roger Ver had no argument anymore. And do we hear about Roger Ver anymore? No, he destroyed his own credibility because of that power ego trip that he had. He thought that he had enough sway to get people to move to Bitcoin Cash. He lost an enormous amount of money with that project. You don't hear about him anymore. He was Michael Saylor before Michael Saylor. He did a lot for Bitcoin back in the day. He invested in it in a lot of companies. He got Bitcoin's name out. He did a ton of interviews, everything, until his ego got ahead of him, and he tried to shame Bitcoin and try to get everyone on Bitcoin Cash. Like, he totally destroyed any reputation he had in the community. And now you don't hear about him anymore. It's just sad. Anyways. Opinion on Sol, I'm accumulating for 2024. I mean, Sol is still one of the big caps out there. They got to solve their network issues. But there's still a chance. There's still a chance because there's still time. The other chains are not done yet. Did you make more gains from last bull run or previous? Last bull run for sure. 2021, because I was more prepared. I was a lot more prepared. Had more invested, but more prepared in terms of having more cash on the side to be able to DCA during, before and during the time. So, what was the difference between the last two runs? The resurgence of altcoins, and after that, they stayed. Even though, yes, a lot of altcoins from the top has come down 70, 80, 90%. But look at where we are now, how low things are, and Bitcoin dominance is still below 40%. That's very different from all previous cycles. No cycle before had we had like a down market, a major correction, and Bitcoin dominance didn't go up. Never. Before, Bitcoin dominance would shoot up to 70%, 60, 70%, and stay up there because there's a lot of fear. This time around, not so much. Look at ETH dominance still holding at close to 20%. Bitcoin is below 40%. Very different. It shows you this last cycle changed the game for altcoins because of the resurgence of NFTs and DeFi and staking, and these things have changed the game for altcoins. Stuart, appreciate it. Oh, wait, no, I saw the wrong chat. Thoughts on TWOJ? I have no idea. Apparently, you're able to tweet or earn a Stuart. Okay, just based on what you said, right? You should stay away from it. Because it sounds like you're trying to FOMO in something, and it's probably going to end up horribly. How high can Cardano go? Well, certainly back up to its previous highs. $3 something. So, yeah. And it could go beyond that. But you got to give it time. It's not going to happen right away. I have given up on Neo. It took them way too long to come out Neo 3. And by the time they did, no one cared about them anymore. So, I used to be a big fan of Neo. I've given up on them. I have no idea what they're doing anymore. Their other sister project that somehow it's connected, Ontology, no idea what they're doing anymore. This is what we have to look forward to this week. All right, guys. So happy Halloween. The market is awaiting to see what fearful, scary Powell is going to do. So we got a couple more days, but today looks like the U.S. market is down a little bit. The crypto market is still holding strong. A lot of altcoins are doing very well today. So we'll see what happens for the remainder of the day. So make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and tune in tonight, and we'll cover this some more. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.